New World Order, you underestimated the people. You took a gamble and you lost.
Okay, we don't like this. Okay, well then we're going to do this. And that is just how it's going to be.
Evidence brought to light that there is a corrupt officer, or that officer did shoot that kid on purpose.
I don't care how I look, I don't care how I sound, I don't care what the beat is. I just care the message gets across.
Hi, I am Hart Fisher. Welcome to Hart Attack, folks. If you have not been paying attention to what's happening around the country, this episode here of Hart Attack is definitely going to burn your mind down. If you've never heard an episode of Hart Attack, what we're really all about here is we're about informing the public of things they might not know about, things that are really dangerous to them, things that the political blogosphere is ignoring or trying to put under, things that the man is trying to put into law in secret. Anytime there's a law put into secret, you know it's fishy. You know you have a problem. Anytime they meet in secret for a midnight session, you know those lawmakers are doing something really, really dirty and fucked up. So what we're going to talk about today on Hart Attack is an issue that I've kind of dealt with most of my life. For full disclosure, my parents owned rental property. As I was growing up, they owned a rental property apartment building in the south side of Chicago, where I'm from. And so I grew up with my parents as landlords. I grew up with tenants that fought with each other, fist fighting and throwing food, and I had to clean the food off the walls. I have scrubbed other people's toilets. I have cleaned up other people's refrigerators as the janitor at my father's apartment building. I've done a lot of dirty jobs, folks, and I'm here to share some of that experience. Currently, my mother owns rental property, and I have an uncle that owned rental property in California, and he dealt with gangbangers and thugs and drug dealers and had death threats on his life, and he put plenty of criminals away because he didn't bow down to some threats from some cocksucking bullies. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the other side of it. I know a lot about the landowner's rights. I know a lot about being a property manager. So today we're going to talk a little bit about renters' rights. We're going to talk a little bit about slumlords. We're going to talk a little bit about what to do if you find out the property you're living in is dangerous to you. So I brought on some interesting folks today. I want to introduce tInman, the leader of the Worldwide Resistance Network. He's a cop watcher, he is a renters' rights advocate, and he's also brought on his compadre Lucid. tInman, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Hart. And I wouldn't say I'm necessarily the leader of the Worldwide Resistance Network. There was a lot of people who had their hand in it. Connor, he's more or less the front guy on that. But I am most definitely your PR guy and your media specialist as far as the Worldwide Resistance Network is concerned.
More or less a front man for a band, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Yes,
and Lucid, what do you do?
I myself am, a co-host for the Worldwide Resistance Network. I'm quote-unquote colorful commentator. Everything that tInman does, it's my job to disagree. So,
Gotcha.
not that we always disagree or whatnot, because there's a lot of aspects that we do agree on. I've known this guy for about 15 years. But, most of the time, I have just a different view and an opinion about other things that, and point out things that tInman otherwise wouldn't point out or, broadcast on his network.
So essentially what you are is two grown adults who have the ability to agree to disagree on some subject matter, huh?
Absolutely.
More or less, yes.
Our religious views even are two completely polar opposites. He's Mormon, I'm Christian, so we have that to take into account for our show as well.
Wow. That's really interesting because I find that in the modern political discourse is people have taken on this, you're either with me or against me. And that's a childish proposition. That's for children.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Grown adults in every single relationship you will ever have involves compromise. Whether it's your wife, your dad, your best friend, it's going to involve compromise.
Absolutely.
And the ability to work together to find a compromise in the middle that suits both parties.
Absolutely.
Which is what I feel is not happening with these current police protests. You have a government that has decided that it's going to do what it's going to do instead of representing the will of the people, which is what they were elected to do. It's what we put them in power to do. We have a social contract here, listeners. We have a social contract in this country. And when I say a social contract, we as citizens give the power of authority over us in return for things. in return for the idea that you're going to get a fair trial by a jury of your peers. But in America, we're finding out that's happening less and less and less, especially if you're a human being who doesn't fit very high on the money scale. But if you're Johnson & Johnson, you could dump a couple billion, and it's okay to bribe doctors to prescribe medicines to people that don't need it, including pregnant women and old folks, and no one wants to talk about their death. But you could have a black man strangled to death on the streets of New York City because he might have sold a cigarette.
Right.
We got a real problem here, folks. Now, tInman, what exactly is the Worldwide Resistance Network? What is that?
Well, it's going back to what you said, people being divided. And as you mentioned, what is the common ground for people to stand on? That is what the Worldwide Resistance Network literally is. It is the common ground. It doesn't matter whether you're anonymous, Tea Party, white, right wing, left wing. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is. If you see that there's something wrong in the world, you're a part of the Worldwide Resistance Network.
And that's exactly what I was about to say shortly before you asked him that question too. We, us as our religious backgrounds, we're on the same team. We both believe in God, and that's where we're at as far as our religion is concerned. As far as politics and the rest of our opinions are concerned, we feel the same way. Everybody is, everybody who lives on Earth is people. We're all people. We share a common ground as far as being, oppressed or, discriminated against or, shunned because of our religious backgrounds and beliefs and whatnot. So what we try to convey to the people is information that gives us a common ground to work together.
And it's not just about religion. We discuss politics on local and national and international levels. We discuss police corruption. We even address the wrongdoings of people, including slumlords.
Including ourselves.
Yeah, we took part in Operation Slumlord in Northern California. We took part in Operation Slumlord Pennsylvania, which was relatively successful. We're really active, and it's about taking action and being one as a people, finding that common ground. Yeah, we've got a lot of differences, but where are we the same? That is the Worldwide Resistance Network.
That's actually why I've been changing a lot of the format of Hart Attack. Well, long-time listeners probably remember the old Jack and Coke days. But I've gotten a lot more serious about what I'm doing. So I'm sitting here with a protein shake and a cup of coffee instead. And we've had a lot more success in uniting people. And people have been hearing me curse and swear and call city council members cocksucker a lot less. And I've gotten to know people in the political spectrum. Through your activities, have you gotten to know the politicians in your town? Do you do you go, oh, hey, how you doing, Councilman Bob? Or do they run the other way when they see you?
It's a little bit of a mixture there. When I was living in Hemet, California, I worked with a team of local activists who, some of them were actually running for the city council, and a few who were actually on the city council were on our side. So we've talked with them. I've also worked with groups like the Interfaith Council, whose purpose is unison as well. So we're pretty well rounded, and we get to meet a lot of interesting people both in and out of the political scheme.
How long have you guys been doing this?
Well, I've been doing this for years. I actually woke up to some Alex Jones documentaries back shortly after 9/11, and I've been running my mouth ever since. But as far as videos are concerned, and the Worldwide Resistance Network, that really kicked off in 2011, and the flames of the fire really started to spread around 2013, 2014.
Okay. What about you, Lucid? What's the thing that got you activated? I mean, how long you been doing this, and what got you moving?
Well, I would have to, give that credit to tInman here. When we were friends, probably about 6 years ago, he was listening to, Alex Jones, and he was telling me all these conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And being a person of military background, I was completely against even wanting to hear stuff like that. I'm like, forget that. You're just being paranoid, this and that. Well, as time went on, I would have to say, I started hearing more and more, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I mean, we got the borders wide open right now, and I'm thinking to myself, well, we can't even take care of home, and we're trying to take care of everybody else. We got this war on terrorism. We got the oil crisis.
It seems to me when you have 43 students kidnapped by Mexican police officers and their bodies disappear and there's elements of torture involved, and you have police officers' heads being put on poles at the police station, police chiefs' heads being put on poles, mayors being killed, it would seem to me that there is a terrorism fight. It is in Mexico with narco-terrorists. But it seems to me our government's more in bed with them than anything else, especially when you look at something like, the gun operation that Bush started with selling about 2,000 guns to Mexican mafia folks beneath the border, and then it got dumped onto Obama, and he swept it under the rug, and American officers were killed with American weapons supplied to the Mexican mafia. I think that we have real issues here on our own soil.
Absolutely. I also want to add on to that. A lot of the stuff that the mainstream media is putting out there, and I want to quote a phrase from my friend Conspiracy Anon. It's all fear porn. It's all things it's watch this hand while this hand robs you blind type of shit. And
totally.
And it's they want you to be distracted by something while they enact this law so they can fuck you even worse. And then they want you to focus on Ebola. I mean, the whole Ebola.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, how many American families are homeless because of J.P. Morgan's housing fraud that they bought their way out of being convicted by the government over to the tunes of millions of dollars. They bought their way out, but there's families that are homeless in America because of J.P. Morgan Chase. But I'm worried about I'm supposed to worry about Ebola that maybe killed 3 Americans. Maybe.
Right. Maybe that's completely hearsay too. It's not. I haven't seen any 100% documentation on it. I haven't seen any.
How about this one, Lucid? 130,000 Americans are going to die in 2014 from the prescription drugs they were given by their doctors. Where's the outrage over the 130,000 Americans that are going to die? We're coming to the end of the year, so most of them are already fucking dead. But you don't see anything on the news about that. Because they're bought and paid for by the 6 media conglomerations that are owned by the government.
Right. Chopped up to being deaths resulting of natural causes. Bullshit.
Exactly.
And one of those pharmaceutical companies, to name one, is Pfizer. They make a lot of they're like the number one conglomerate of like pain meds, over-the-counter pain meds. And not too long ago, in fact, just this year. Which is something that me and Tinman had not even discussed, which, we should discuss that on a actual main debate broadcast, is that I have an issue with headaches and back pain a lot, and I was buying Excedrin because
now, you have these headaches and these back pains. What part of the country do you live in?
I live in California.
Okay, so you're in California, and what was your military service?
Army.
So you're in the Army. How long were you in the Army for?
For 4 years.
Okay, did you see any combat?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you were not deployed around uranium?
No.
Okay, that's something for you to be really concerned about, what you were exposed to, what things they injected you with.
Oh, they stuck needles in me like I was a pincushion while I was in basic training, so, as far as that goes, that could be a contributing factor, too.
So. It really seems like we have a pattern of the United States government completely disrespecting the sacrifice of our United States military men. I have a lot of friends in the military. I have a lot of friends out of the military. And from what I'm told about the way they're treated by our government, when you look at the way the VA is set up, it's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting when you find out that most of the homeless population involves a significant amount of our war veterans, a significant amount of our military veterans, and they put a blind eye to it. Now they have all these laws going around where you can't feed homeless people. They're breaking up homeless encampments when you have corporations like J.P. Morgan going out of their way to make people homeless.
Right, and not to mention, being homeless and all these veterans, I want to bring up 2 points here. One of the things that I think is that, we should be taking care of our elderly and our infirm when, they're on Social Security and whatnot when we're taking money from them, and that's one of the things I wanted to say. And the other one was basically, we see a lot of, I don't know exactly how to put it, but we see a lot of picking and choosing. Yeah, who gets health care, who gets this right or that right.
We're seeing a total selective enforcement of the law. What we're seeing is time and time again, if you have enough money, you could buy your way out of trouble.
Right.
Oh, are you Walgreens or are you a major drug chain that was caught illegally selling painkillers out your back door like a common drug dealer?
Right.
Oh, just buy your way out of it. Are you a corporation that poisoned people? Oh, just buy your way out of it. Are you BP Oil? Oh, you had a major oil spill where a lot of military Navy families live? Oh, if you're the governor, like Bobby Jindal, you'll just give him a get-out-of-jail-free card. And I think Americans have had enough, especially when you see that the police are gunning people down at an insane rate. And I know everybody wants to make it a race issue, but this is a human issue. This is an American civilian issue. And the idea of civilians, we're not civilians. We are American citizens. And police officers you're not combat guys. You're not some army. You are a civilian police force whose job is to serve us and protect us. On that note, folks, we got to take a break for song. I'm Hart D. Fisher. You've been listening to Hart Attack. We're going to be right back with more from the Tin Man and Lucid. I'm with the Tin Man and Lucid, and yes, I am not motherfucking Dorothy. I am Hart D. Fisher. You are listening to Hart Attack. Tin Man, where can people find your World Resistance Network?
Well, we're actually all over the place on social media. We're on Facebook /TWDBRN, Twitter.com/TWDBRNofficial. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/Resistance2058, and our website is twrn.webstarts.com.
All right, now, when we were talking earlier in the show, you had mentioned Operation Slumlord. Now, that's a title we got to dig into. What was Operation Slumlord, and what was your involvement in it?
Well, Operation Slumlord from Northern California, that was an anonymous operation that I was contacted about. And they'd asked us to help them put out a few videos and make awareness of not only the issues that were going on with the slumlords, because the landlords and the property owners were just totally screwing the people. So we put it out there, organized protests, and as far as I'm to understand, the protests went relatively well. I'm not exactly sure 100% on the outcome of what took place, but as far as the protests and the organization, it went relatively well. And then a few months later, we had a secondary operation, which was Operation Slumlord Pennsylvania, which that actually hit me on more of a personal level. A buddy of mine who's living out in Renington, Pennsylvania, contacted me telling me that his girlfriend's mother, her elderly mother, who's about 80 years old, has been being harassed by her landlord in regards to bed bugs that were infesting the entire apartment complex.
And those things are nasty, dude. Bed bugs are no joke.
No doubt. So, and the thing about them, too, is that by the time you know you have them, it's too late.
Yeah, that's true.
It is. But this elderly lady was catching flack from the landlord. The landlord was blaming her for the bed bug infestation, even though her house, other than the bed bugs, was in tip-top shape. And it just resulted in a whole mess of problems. My buddy asked me to take action, so I got this woman's contact information, every little detail I could about her. And
how responsible is the building owner for the infestation?
Completely responsible.
Really? If you have an insect infestation in your property that you're renting, the landlord's responsible for getting rid of that?
Most of the time, especially if you're a renter. If you're a renter, okay, and I'm not talking about renting to own, I'm not talking about buying. If you're a renter, 9 times out of 10, the lease agreement will state on the lease that the landlord is responsible for pest control.
Yes.
Like if you had a rat infestation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's regardless of who is responsible, if there is an infestation of any kind, regardless of the reasons as to why, it is the landlord's responsibility. And what it comes down to with the renters' rights and homeowners' rights is three major factors. Actually, two major factors. You got the financial aspect, rent and possession of the property, and you've got the upkeep and maintenance of the property.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it really comes down to. The only time the tenant is, in any sense, liable is when they themselves have either caused damage to the property or have made modifications to the property, at which point they have to get the homeowner's consent to make modifications, such as putting in new carpet, painting, putting in a swimming pool in the backyard, so on and so forth.
And this goes hand in hand with the pest control thing in the terms of if you break down a wall and it's not set to code and you didn't get permission for it and there's flaws in your construction, then pests are more likely to be able to enter your house.
So perhaps if you had separation in your floorboards, or perhaps if you had cracks in your walls.
Correct.
Those are all issues that a landlord should be on top of correcting pretty timely, you would think, right?
Yes.
After and before every new renter.
Okay, so after and before. What if you're a long-time renter? If you've been renting from somebody, you've been happy there for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you've got an issue in your property and you've got this insect infestation, but you're not a new renter.
Well, at that point, that just goes to, back to contract. You look at the contract, you see, okay, it says here that the property owner is responsible for pest control. Okay, at that point, you call them, you make notice to the rental lease, and you state your grounds upon which, or upon why you are calling and what needs to be done.
With this older lady who had this bedbug infestation, it's my understanding that those things are pretty nasty and they bite the shit out of you. So
Yes.
Is the property owner responsible for her medical bills resulting from the bedbug infestation?
I'm sure she can sue on behalf of that if the bedbug infestation wasn't completely taken care of on the landlord's part.
How did it work with you guys? You guys went up there, did you do a protest, or what did you do to try to enact some change on this slumlord and help this lady out?
There were some protests organized. I wasn't able to get out there directly, but we did organize some protests. We put the information out there in video and in documentation online. And
did you try to contact the city?
Yes, the city was contacted. The company whom this landlord works for was contacted. The landlord was contacted directly. Several of the tenants who lived within the facility moved out. In fact, my buddy and I were talking about it this morning when I was going over this with him to make sure all my facts are straight. He was telling me that 500 of the tenants that saw that video moved out during this issue.
Wow.
Wow. Did you say 500?
500. It was a big apartment complex.
I didn't even know that.
That's a lot of people. So, wow. I mean, I don't even know how to respond. So they move out, but what about their damages? What about they lost their mattresses? They moved out, but they can't take their furniture with them.
None of that was ever specified to me directly. I know that my friend's mother and the landlord did wind up going to court. The landlord tried to sue her for $3,000. I don't know whatever happened to that. I believe it was dismissed. And the landlord was forced to attend to the bedbug issue and bring the building back up to code.
And bedbug treatment is not a cheap thing. I mean, you can send an exterminator in there to spray and whatnot, but there's no guarantee that the bedbugs are going to go away. The only guarantee is heat treatment, where they hook a giant heater up to your house, seal everything up, and turn the temperature up to like 400 degrees.
Yeah, and that ain't cheap.
Yeah, and that goes for a pretty penny. Did we lose your heart?
I think we did. That sucked. That was ridiculous.
Should we try to call him back?
Now I'm going to get Skype open again.
Sorry, folks, watching in on TWWRN right now. We lost Hart, and we're trying to get him back right now.
Yeah. Sign him back in.
There you go. Yes, there.
You guys there?
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know exactly what happened. It's probably an internet hiccup or something here.
Yeah, the Skype program got shut down on us. Seems like somebody doesn't want us having this conversation.
Yeah, I would say so. We've had all kinds of problems with Skype. We've been monitored. I actually had to go to Skype. You're going to love this, fellas. You know, I deal with a lot of serious people. I work with a billionaire. I know all kinds of military folks. I know various criminal types. I've worked in porn. I've had my work banned in this country. And in the time I've been doing Hart Attack, we started off with a Time Warner landline. And at first, nothing. It was fine. It's great. It's a fucking landline. But we found, as we got further into it and the show became more popular, all of a sudden we started getting clicks and pops on the line. And soon, they started interfering with our ability to record. And it got to the point where now we're on Skype. And we've had a couple of our episodes censored by SoundCloud using copyright protection.
Wow.
We're a radio network. We have every right to play what we play. But they selectively enforced over an Iggy Pop song. They used Iggy Pop to shut down free speech.
Wow. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Well, if you want, you can play some of our stuff. Lucid is a rapper.
Let's get back into this. I'm going to start recording. And we have had an interrupted broadcast here at Hart Attack. I don't know what the hell happened. Me and the boys were talking about bed bugs and whether or not their furniture was taken care of. Lucid was telling me about we were discussing 500 people leaving a property in Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes. Yes.
In Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, they had a rampant bed bug infestation. I was asking Lucid about, gee, what do you think? Do you think that these people these landlords were responsible for all the furniture that's destroyed? Because when you have a bed bug infestation, if you can move out, but they're in your mattress, they're in your couch. And I don't even know, they might even be in your clothes.
And a lot of the time it is. It's usually, that's usually how you get stuff from, how you get bed bugs, by visiting, shiesty hotels that, don't have their standards completely up to par, third world countries, stuff like that. They hitch a ride in your luggage for the most part, and then you bring them home, and then by the time, like I said before, by the time you figure out that you have them, it's too late. And, as I was saying previously before we got cut off, people can move away, but the only for real solution would be to leave everything behind. Or you could always call an exterminator. You can get spray put in your apartment or wherever you're living. But the only for sure way to get rid of bed bugs is heat treatment. They strap a big heater up to your house and they crank the temperature up to about 350, 400 degrees or so and kill them all.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Wow. So this was about a bed bug infestation, and you guys got involved, and you did a protest march. What else did you guys do to help her?
Well, we got the word out. We shared this woman's information. Many people called her.
You got the city involved.
Yes, the city got involved, and it went to court, and the bed bug infestation was taken care of. The lady was not evicted, even though she was threatened with eviction. And she, to the best of my knowledge, is still living there, and surprisingly enough, the landlord is still at her fucking shit.
Jesus. Well, a bully's a bully is a bully. And
right,
a slumlord is a slumlord. These guys, it gets to the point where you're looking at an old boxer who's getting punched in the face, they just don't know any better.
Right.
And a slumlord, they're a slumlord. Their job is to prey upon poor people and take advantage of the system. That's what they do. And they prey upon people that don't have the ability to get a lawyer. How was she able to get this under her own finance, or did she have to go to outside financing to get a lawyer? A lot of people in these hard times do not have a lawyer. Is there an online site that you guys are aware of where someone could go to get legal help?
I do know of one. In fact, it's one that Tin Man here used to sell insurance for. It's called, or I mean not insurance, but legal advice for. It's called prepaid legal. You can go on, you pay $27 a month. You get so many hours, so many days or weeks out of the year, and if you don't use those hours, they roll over into the next year, and you just can accumulate hours and stuff like that. But if you use these hours, that's what you get. Then you have to pay extra. But for $27 a month, you get like 80 hours of personal lawyer time. They work on your cases, anything. They have specialty lawyers for everything. Mm-hmm. And they don't just send out one lawyer. They'll send out like if you're
team.
like if you have child custody issues, they'll send out a specialist child custody lawyer. If you have slumlord issues or renters' rights issues, they'll send out a renters' right lawyers. Tax issues, a tax lawyer. They have lawyers for every aspect.
That's good to know. A tax lawyer is good to know. There's a lot of stuff going on in America with the poor being picked on.
Right.
It really seems like they're being victimized by systemic corruption. And I was very curious about how the city reacted to this issue. What's the website for this prepaid legal service?
It's prepaidlegal.com. You type that in Google search, it'll bring up their official website. You click on there, and you could sign up right on their main page.
Now that's prepaidlegal.com, folks. Prepaidlegal.com for the retarded out there that have a problem with spelling. That's P-R-E-P-I-D, legal, L-E-G-A-L.com. For the really dumb, that's C-O-M.com. You gotta spell it out for some people. Some people are very confused. Some people are listening to this when they're really baked out of their effing minds. People are listening when they're loaded, and then there's people listening to this, on a podcast working out in the gym. It really blows my mind when I hear a fan going, "Oh yeah, I just downloaded 8 episodes and I'm going to the gym." I'm like, "Damn, dude!"
Nice.
That's a lot of Hart Attack.
Right.
Now, you guys also did something like this in the state of California. What happened there?
Well, I don't know if we got cut off on that part, but we covered the protests. We organized the protests. We made promotional videos about it onto WWRN.
And this was in Oakland?
Yes, this was up in Oakland, up in Northern Cali. People were getting messed with by the owners of varying properties, and the people just had enough, and it turned into a big issue, so we got involved.
Mm-hmm. Because we've been seeing a lot of illegal developments here in Highland Park, where Hart Attack is based out of, and what we found is, even my own mother heard on NPR, public radio, them talking about Highland Park being the hottest real estate in the country. Well, when you have Highland Park, which is already, it's number 3 as in crime per capita. We're number 3 in crime per capita in the country. We have some of the most densely developed population in Los Angeles, and now they want to gentrify even further. And what they're doing is they're using their political might to railroad through developments, and they're getting waivers on city fire code violations from city council. They're getting environmental impact report waivers from city council. We had a development here in Los Angeles in which they wanted to build the Millennium Tower on an active earthquake fault line that was so nasty that if there was the right kind of quake, it would have split the building in half. And the city was all for it, and we had to involve state earthquake inspectors. We had to involve the state to get this shut down because corruption in Los Angeles City Hall is pretty systemic. They are bent over for real estate development, and a lot of that has to do with Goldman Sachs has bought up a great deal of Los Angeles municipal bonds. They're buying up the city bonds. So in a way, they're buying up debt from the city. So they kind of own the city without the public knowing it. Then these real estate firms are owned. One of them, we had the Highland Park Transit Village. That had fire code violations in its design, in a property designed for families. And City Hall, good guys like Jose Huizar, they gave a waiver. They gave a waiver on fire code violations for a family development. Now,
that's ridiculous.
That's some pretty scary stuff.
Right.
So it seems to me that in this day and age of corruption, even more than public condemnation, you got to get a lawyer. It seems like you really got to have a lawyer.
Yeah, and
Right.
if you can't afford a lawyer, the best thing you could do is educate yourself. on the laws. Not just criminal and civil law, but in instances such as this, such as homeowners' rights and renters' rights. You got to know that, especially if you're a renter. More often than not, if you're a renter, you're generally on a fixed income. You can't afford to go out and spend money on a lawyer. So the best thing for anybody to do in that situation is to learn as much as they can about these particular issues. If you want to enforce your rights, you've got to know your rights.
And another thing that I wanted to bring up too, Hart, is that a good way for renters to protect themselves is to document everything. Take pictures, get testimonies, rally your troops, get people to...
hire an inspector. You
Exactly.
can hire a building inspector for your property. If you don't get any testing done, it generally costs between $400 and $500.
Right.
And if you're living in a dangerous situation, that money is well spent, because a lot of these properties and buildings, like around Highland Park, a lot of these buildings and properties have lead paint, and people don't know about that. Or properties might have asbestos tiles and not know about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's important for you to be protecting your own interests. Folks, I am Hart D. Fisher. With me is the Tin Man, Lucid, and we already gangbanged and fucked and left for dead Dorothy in an alley behind the show. So we're going to take a break and try to sell you something. We'll be right back with more outrageous fucked up shit.
Hello, YouTube Universe. This is good old Grandmaster Revan. Are you looking for daily, unbiased political videos? Come check out my channel at youtube.com/GrandmasterRevan, or you can find me in the featured activist section on the Worldwide Resistant Networks channel at youtube.com/Resistance2058. Remember, knowledge is free.
I want to talk a little bit about how America is becoming a modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah in some aspects. We are losing our morals and ethics in the United States. If you tune into the History Channel, they got Larry the Cable Guy telling penis and fart jokes to Cub Scouts. If you tune into Discovery Channel, they're teaching your children how we originated from aquatic mermaids. I didn't tune in to Fox News to hear about Kim Kardashian's ass cheek implants. There is a Beavis and Butthead mentality going about in this country, and it's contagious.
Welcome back to Hart Attack. I am Hart D. Fisher. Yes, you are listening to Hart Attack Radio. Folks, we need your help getting the word out there. If you like an episode, retweet it, repost it, talk about it. Share these episodes with folks, and don't be worried about offending somebody. If somebody doesn't like it, if somebody's offended, hey, that's great. Go, hey, you know what? Okay, cool. No problem. I won't share another show with you. What were you going to say, Lucid?
Haters make me famous.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you've been as hated on like I have, when you've had a protest march at your house, when you've had the police come to your home and tell you to leave town, then you know you're doing something right, folks. You know, You're making a difference. You're making a fucking dent. And right now, in the middle, America is in the midst of major protests all over the entire country. These idiots want to talk about, I need $1 billion to fight Ebola, when how many Americans have died? I don't know, 3 or 4. It's bullshit. They don't want to deal with the militarization of our police forces. Folks, we have got to re-examine our relationship with our police forces. We are not civilians. We are American citizens. We are American taxpayers with rights. We are the ones that hire these officers to look out for us. They're not in power to look out for themselves. Their job is not to go, I was threatened, so therefore I gotta kill somebody. Well, motherfucker, that's your job when you put on that vest, when you put on that uniform. You're standing tall, and you're saying, I'm the good guy. I'm here to do what's right. And in America, that means you respect the American citizens. It isn't about macing them on the ground. That's torture. That's what a bully does. You know what happened to me on the south side of Chicago when I'm getting worked over by a couple of bullies and they're beating the shit out of you and they hold you down and they're spitting in your face? That doesn't sound too far away from 3 cops standing on you and macing you in the face while you're in cuffs. What the fuck is wrong with these officers who are macing people that are already in handcuffs? That is no way to calm or pacify anyone. I worked in security. You do not pacify a violent person by putting them in agony. That doesn't work, you foolish, foolish people. And you want to know why these officers are behaving the way they are? It's because of their civilian oversight. It's because of what we, the people, are doing to them. We are giving them their orders. Our politicians that we have lost interest in electing are giving them the rules of the day. Here in LA, we have the city council allegedly ordering police officers to walk away from the Occidental rape investigations because that would be bad for the development of Occidental. We have the officers being ordered away from enforcing traffic laws on bicyclists because it goes against what the politicians have decided for their bike lane policy. Folks, you are being gamed. Forget about fighting the troop. Go for the head. Stop fighting the foot. Folks, it is time to watch these officers. Why? You want evidence to what? Go after the foot? No, we're going to go after the head. We're going after the politicians, folks. That is why there are marches in every major city around the country happening today. And these gentlemen here are part of the force of people doing cop watch. Now, you both gentlemen are both involved with doing cop watching. What organization are you guys associated with?
We're pretty much independent. We are networked with Cop Watch Online directly, and we tend to do our own thing. We cover the protests. We give our thoughts and opinions. And one thing that people need to understand is that the cops, when it comes to the cops, not all cops are bad. There are good cops out there. It's just the few who are taking these illegal actions, and even in most instances getting away with these illegal actions, that are making the rest of the police look bad. The police are, for the most part, good people. They're Americans, just like us.
They've got a shitty job, they're overworked, they're underpaid, they're undertrained, they don't have enough officers in Los Angeles to handle the job, they're sending homicide detectives home because they don't have enough overtime pay. They don't have enough homicide detectives to investigate murders. They don't have enough money in the budget to go through and process all the rape kits. They had to throw away 700 rape kits because they didn't spend the money to process them. We got a problem above. It's not just the regular cops. It's the people that are leading them and these bad cops.
Yeah, there's good and bad in everything. And what needs to happen, as far as the people are concerned, they need to try to get the police back on their side. What you're seeing in the mainstream media with all these cop shootings and whatnot, you got to ask yourself, why is this all being publicized? It's to divide the people against the police so that they could be even further militarized and take even more of our rights and eventually, quite possibly, usher in martial law because the people are so outraged about what's going on that it's going to result in a major problem to the point where the governments are going to say, look, we're just done with this shit. Martial law, you listen to us because you guys can't stop acting a fool. And that seems to be the plan here. The people need to take this into account and realize that not all cops are bad and that we need the cops on our side.
We need to work together.
Exactly. If we're going to change the world for the better, we need to work together.
And not just that, we need to take into consideration, the fact that, all this stuff that's being publicized lately is due to, everybody having a camcorder in their pockets lately. Who's not to say this hasn't been going on since the 1950s? You know?
This has been going on forever, guys. I'm from the south side of Chicago. One of my best friends got pulled out of his car through the driver's side window in front of all the other guys on the swim team, and the cop beat the fuck out of him with a baton, broke his ribs, broke his nose, and one of the guys got out to help him. He's like, "You want some, motherfucker? You want some? Get back in that car." This isn't new, and that guy wasn't black, and he wasn't Mexican. He was a white guy on the swim team, a white captain of the swim team, who got his ass beat by dragged out through the open window. He dragged him through the window. That's some crazy shit back in the 80s, guys. This thing with the cameras is what it's all about, and that's why we have politicians, the real crooks, passing laws. Like in Illinois, the Republicans and the Democrats got together, and they passed a law that makes it a felony for a regular person to videotape any police officer, the assistant attorney general, the state's attorney, the assistant state's attorney, attorney general, or a judge. But it's totally okay for them to record us. Now, before we get into this, I want to read off a phone number on the air here. Folks, if you want to make a change in this, you can call. You can ask Illinois Governor Pat Quinn at 312-814-2121 and demand that he veto the amendment to Senate Bill 1342. You want to know who the criminals are? It's these politicians. These politicians who pass these dirty fucking laws, who are bought out by the corporations. The dudes, the police are just caught in the middle. They're caught between us and them. And really, they're more us than them. The police officers are regular people that have regular paychecks with regular families. Officers, if you want to take a look around and know who your friends are, it's us, the people. It isn't the politicians. They're playing us off against each other. They're playing the race card off against each other. They're manipulating us so they can get more crappy laws passed and take away more rights. Lucid, you are an armed forces veteran. In your time in the Army, did you ever do any training exercises in American cities, like in a city? Did you ever do combat training in American cities?
No, we did everything on the military base in Fort Benning, Georgia. But I do want to point something out, though, in regards to that. Our police officers do train in American cities. Right here at the Ben Clark Training Center, right across the street from where the academy is located, is a vacant field with several different types of houses on it. And they schedule regular routine training ops right there. I mean, it's like right on the freeway off of, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's in Riverside County, Ben Clark Training Center. You can look it up. I can't think of the name of the street, but...
oh, I know where it's at.
Yeah, okay.
I've trained in martial arts with some of the instructors from some of the police guys. I've got a lot of friends that are police officers, a lot of training buddies in the martial arts.
Right.
They're regular people, and they care too. They're upset too. And one of the things I don't like when I see these protests, poor cops, they're afraid too, only they're armed. And when you have an armed person who's afraid, that's really scary. That's really, really scary. And Lucid, I don't know if you were aware of this, but we have active military urban assault training happening right now in Los Angeles. And 3 days after they began, we had a major city block burned down.
Wow, that's insane. I do know... Are you still there, Hart?
No, it did it again.
Damn it.
At least we caught it that time.
There's somebody fucking with us, dude.
Happened again! Oh, good.
You guys there?
Yeah,
Yes,
it
sir.
happened again!
Holy shit!
What the hell's going on?
This is the third time, for those of you watching on TWWRN, that we have been shut down on Skype for stating that urban training in Los Angeles is happening, and they shut us down immediately after he stated that.
Seems like somebody doesn't want us to have this conversation. This is getting interesting. Let's hope it stays.
Boy, they really don't want me to finish this speech. We're going to try this again. We're going to try one more time, guys, and then I'm just going to record this on my own because it seems really important.
Yes.
Folks at home, we don't know why, but as I talk about the combat training in Los Angeles and how they are training to assault and take down buildings within 3 days of them beginning assault drills for assaulting a building and taking it down, an entire city block burned down in Los Angeles. A city block in downtown where they're doing their drills and they're flying in on helicopters, Ospreys, which I'm told by another military person that are kind of dangerous to fly around American cities because they have a habit of dropping from the sky.
Right.
What do you guys think when you hear that there's major military drills all over the country in the middle of these protest march, and they're about urban assault, and they're the Marines on American soil?
It doesn't at all surprise me. In fact, a few years ago, back in 2009, I was working security in a senior community, and the head of the SWAT team, the SWAT department, came to this housing development, which was a senior housing development. They wanted to come in and do militarized SWAT drug bust training.
In the senior center?
Oh, it wasn't a senior center. It was a senior living community. You know, the housing developments they built for seniors, like Del Webb?
Sure.
Yeah. The police with the military wanted to come in and do mock drug bust training in this residential senior community.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and I took it before the homeowners association. I told the guy, okay, you got to meet with the homeowners association. You can't come to me about this. This isn't my department. I'm just security.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to talk to the HOA about it. And I went and talked to the head of the HOA and told him, gave him a heads up on what was going on. I said, if you want my personal opinion on this, I think this is a bad idea. There's a senior community. The last thing these elderly people need is to have the living daylights scared out of them by the ring rates coming in doing mock drug bust training.
Yeah, and a lot of time they're throwing flashbangs around and they're pulling a lot of crazy stuff. You know, they keep talking, oh, it was just, I want to punch the broadcasters at Fox, and they're like, oh, they just threw a couple flashbangs in there. Those are fucking grenades, motherfucker.
Right.
Those are concussion grenades designed to stun you, deafen you, and blind you, and cause confusion. Yeah. So how the fuck does that help you maintain control over a crowd? Now you have a deaf, blind crowd that cannot hear your instructions.
Yeah, and doing that stuff in a senior community, 55 and older, what's that going to do to a person?
Doing that stuff in a crowded area, regardless of whether it's for crowd control or not, will confuse people and ultimately, make them frightened. And a frightened animal will, when cornered,
run and panic.
Right, they'll panic and they'll attack, in defense for their life. And us as human beings, we're not very far off from, animals in the sense that we have the flight or flight basic instinct in us.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And they play upon that. They get you pinned down, they get the protesters pinned down into like a square, and they're all blocked in. And, I was told that one of our listeners, his old Special Forces instructor is down at Dodger Stadium as part of this deployment, part of this training, and I think, gee, the stadium, isn't that where in the Banana Republics when they had a coup d'etat, they took all the political dissidents, all the teachers, all the artists, they took them down to the stadiums, and they made those the holding cells and the torture chambers. And that's not some kind of Alex Jones mystery. Go read your history, you dumb motherfuckers. For anybody who wants to talk, oh, Alex Jones, hey, you can hate on Alex Jones all you want, but you just want to look for the facts. You want to look for the facts, and if you read your history, you know these things happen. You know the government lies to us, and they lie to us more and more. I'm a true blue American. I love my country. I love the freedoms that we have here in this country.
Amen,
I appreciate that we have people like Lucid who volunteered to serve in our armed forces and put his life on the line for us. Those are real things. And we as a society got to stop. They're trying to distract us with this Miley Cyrus bullshit, the Miley Cyrus playbook. the let's argue about transgenderism while everybody's dying in the streets, while nobody's got food, while people are getting kicked out of their house, while cops are killing unarmed people rampantly, while the corporations are running wild over all of our rights. Oh yeah, let's talk about transgender that affects what? 0.2% of the fucking population? Who gives a fuck? We got real shit to talk about here. Lucid, I really appreciate you coming on the show. tInman, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank
you
you for having
guys,
us.
it's great that guys like you are out there. I hate when I see cop watch folks tormenting police. Hey, we're watching you now, man. That's childish. It's
Right.
unprofessional. If you want to enact a change, you can't taunt them. You know,
No.
Martin Luther King didn't run around and go, "Oh, pig, oh, look at me, pig, can't hit me now." We got to stop that kind of juvenile bullshit. That's childish crap. And I was really happy to hear a lot of the mature things that you guys have to say. As cop watchers, I'd rather have you guys out there doing it than some fucking jackass.
Well, it's not without its share of costs. You know, when I brought this issue up to the Homeowners Association when the SWAT commander came in,
Mm-hmm.
not only did the HOA cock block the SWAT on this, but 2 weeks after this incident, they put a GPS in our patrol vehicle. And
Your security patrol vehicle?
yeah, and then 3 months later, I was terminated for leaving posts during my lunch break, which I had permission from my post commander to do.
It's your fucking lunch break. You're supposed to get fucking lunch. What the fuck?
Yeah, I worked security for a company that he worked security for as well. I also was a police explorer for 6 years, and that being said, I noticed a lot of changes in not only police force and security, but in other aspects of government who are trying to control us more and more every day as well. And my whole aspect of this whole thing is, we're supposed to be the ones that are your extra eyes and ears, people. We're the ones that are here to witness for you, for the police, for the judges and the law officials and stuff like that. Yet they want to control us more and more and not allow us to videotape cops like in Illinois and not to be able to document things for our own life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
What does that serve? Does that serve the public? No, that only serves criminals. When you make a law that makes it illegal for you to videotape a judge, or basically what they did is they eliminated the prosecuting class.
Right.
The entire prosecuting class. They didn't make defense attorneys illegal to film. They didn't make regular attorneys illegal to film. They only made the prosecution wing of Illinois illegal to record in any way, shape, or form. And that includes the news, guys. The news would not be able to record these things either. That's the sneaky part of the law. Remember, call Illinois Governor Pat Quinn at 312-814-2121. That's Pat Quinn, Governor of Illinois, at 312-814-2121, and demand that he veto the amendment to Senate Bill 1342. And remember, folks, be cool. Be cool. They want you to be a dick because then it's easy to ignore you. But if you're cool, it's a lot harder to shut you down. tInman, great to have you on the show. Compadre next to him. I wish people could see you guys. Like, I'm seeing this vision of these two gentlemen, and I got one guy in like a tie and a suit jacket and glasses, and I got another guy who looks like he just got off his shift at Kohl's.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for coming on the show. Again, where can people hit you?
Well, we're all over the place on social media, like we said. We've got our website, twwrn.webstarts.com. We're on Facebook.com/Twitter. Or, not Twitter. Now I'm tripping over my own words. Facebook.com/TWWRN. Twitter.com/TWWRN official. And you can find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Resistance2058.
What about you, Grimace?
As far as my stuff is concerned, I just am barely starting my my Resistance transmissions as a side branch from TWWRN right now. You can find my first two videos, which I just posted this week, on youtube.com/exhaust187. That's EXHAUST 187. And please feel free to comment and, constructive criticism as well. These are going to be my first videos, and I kind of want to start getting into this a little more as well. And we were cut off.